Hey now, today I'm going to make some Mojito Kombucha, which is really simple to make, provided you've got some fermented kombucha coming out of primary, and two important ingredients, some fresh limes and a bunch of fresh mint. I've got a whole massive handful here that I just picked from the greenhouse, and I'm going to make 4 liters of this, so let's check it out. Now, step one of doing this is taking these large 2-liter swing top jars that I've got, and I'm just going to sanitize them. I know with kombucha that coming out of primary here, I've already got a whole ton of awesome bacteria, which is obviously a huge dose and is unlikely to spoil, particularly since once this is carbonated, it's refrigerated, so it doesn't have too terribly long where it's going to be, really at risk of anything else taking off. However, I've got this is Star San sanitizer that I mixed up. I use this in my home brewing. It's non-toxic and you can't taste it, you can't smell it. You don't need to rinse it. I'm just going to wait a second here, and once everything's kind of settled out, I'm just going to pour off the excess here. All right, so for this, since I'm splitting my 4-liter batch into these 2 jars here, which are nice and sanitized, so I sort of have this like a clean slate that I'm working with. I want to get a little bit of zest off of, I'm going with 1 lime and half of this mint in each of the jars, but I could use, I've got this little fun zester tool on here, but I don't want those little tiny pieces of zest, so I'm actually just going to go ahead and zest this lime a little bit with this vegetable peeler, just to get some separate pieces of this out and about, and hopefully enhance the lime zest character here. This is the same trick I use when I'm making bitters, citrus bitters. So I'm going to do that, and actually I'll leave this other one for now. Also, one thing that I did do with these limes was give them a nice hot water scrub, and I just used this little brush here just in case there was any sort of waxiness or anything left on the fruit, just because they're fresh, but it is something that I purchased in the store. So lime zest is going to go in to the jar. I'm going to also go ahead and find my little knife here, and I'm going to cut up. It destroyed. It self-destructed. It broke. That's really upsetting. I'm grabbing a real knife. All right, we're back with a knife that darn well better not break on me. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and slice this up. Probably just go in like little 1/8 wedges here per side. Probably the least efficient way that I could have gone about cutting this. Whatever. I could have gone, maybe just halved it or something like that, but I want as much exposure to this juice as possible. So we're getting that full lime in there. Just dump that in. And then I'm going to take about half this mint, and I'm not going to muddle it too much or anything like that, but I am just sort of ripping it into pieces as I toss it in here to help release a little bit of that. Oh, it is incredibly minty in here all of a sudden, and that's exactly what I'm after. Okay, just tearing that up, getting it in there. I'm going to repeat the same thing with my second jar, and then we're ready to add kombucha. All right, so I'm ready to pour off into this. First though, I'm going to take my primary jar here of kombucha, which had been fermenting for right around, this batch got 10 days. I was out of town for a couple of days. Normally I go at least a week to 10 days, depending on the batch and my timeline and schedule and all that kind of stuff. I'm just swirling it up a little bit just to kick up a little bit of that bacteria that has dropped out. And now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start to run this off here. And looks like it's time to probably transfer this to my second container, the SCOBY and everything, and clean this out. It's a little bit clogged, just the stuff that's in the line here. It's not causing problems with the actual kombucha, but it does make this take a little bit longer. So here we go. The waiting begins. Okay, now that I've got these jars right around halfway full, I'm going to give this another nice little mix just to help get more of that off the bottom. That really helps ensure maximum yeast and bacteria action in here. Obviously, the bacteria is half the reason that I drink this. And then that makes carbonation really easy to do too after this step. And there we are, all nicely filled up. Just going to get the date on these and then get them into the cabinet so that they can do their thing. So here we are in the fermentation cabinet, and I'm going to leave this in here, and twice a day, so tonight and then tomorrow morning and so on and so forth, I will be just burping these just so that the carbonation level doesn't build up in here too much, because I don't want that to happen until I've got them in my swing top bottles. So this will have probably about 3 days in here before we do that. Now after 3 days, the majority of that vigorous activity that was happening here has stopped, so it's time to go ahead and bottle and let these carbonate. Now I have been burping these a couple of times a day, but what I'm going to do now is try and kick up, just by swirling this, kick up any good, delicious bacteria that has settled out in the bottom, kick that back up into solution, and I'm just stopping and burping this every few swirls, so that'll be sufficient. Now I do have everything sanitized here. I've got a 2-cup liquid measure, I've got this metal sieve, I've got 8, actually 4 per container of these swing top bottles, which are awesome for carbonating and serving the kombucha, a little plastic funnel here. All that was sanitized with my Star Scent sanitizer, and then I've just got this bowl. That's not sanitized, but that's just what I'm going to be putting the mint and the limes in here. I'm just going to go ahead and carefully pour. It can be a little tricky with some of these chunkier things, such as those limes. Kombucha wants to splash a little bit, bouncing off of them, but I shan't lose too much. Oh, I smell lots of lime. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead, strain out the herbs and those limes, fill up all these bottles. You do want to leave some headspace here as well. That helps the whole carbonation process. It can build up carbonation in that headspace, which will then, through that pressure, carbonate the liquid over a few days. So I'm trying to leave at least a couple of inches per bottle. And with this funnel, I'm also lifting it up a touch, just so that it can't seal, because then it can cause problems and not actually flow down properly and get kombucha all over the place. Okay, so to seal these up, quickly repeat with the second 2-liter swing top jar, and then they'll be ready for the cupboard. Here we are in the kombucha cabinet, and they're sitting here. So this is just a kitchen cabinet and going to be kept at room temperature. Probably about 3 days will be enough to get these carbonated where I want them. And after 3 days, you can see there's this, I like to think of them as little mini scobies starting on the top here, and these should be nicely carbonated. So I'm going to go and toss them in the fridge to chill them down. So we are all nicely chilled down and ready to sample, so let's pour. A little bit more there. And here we are. Definitely some carbonation. Time to taste. Woo! Tons of lime. Tons of lime. Wow. Maybe a little bit of mint in the aroma, but definitely tons of lime. Mint carries through a lot more in the actual flavor. And yeah, again, very limey, super delicious, really tart and acidic, citrusy. Lots of carbonation. That's beautiful. Just need a little rum in here. We'd have an actual mojito. So extremely delicious, refreshing. I have to go outside and enjoy the rest of this here. So big win. Give it a whirl. Until next time, keep it at 11.